Okay, so today we're going to go over how to build a business. Okay, so I talk to a lot of people all the time who want to open businesses, or I talk to a lot of people who are self-employed. And a lot of people who are self-employed, if you're watching me and you are self-employed, you know the story. Your income goes up and down. It's like riding a roller coaster. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. All of your money is in play all the time. So there's a lot of formulas to building a business. We're going to go over those today. The thing we're going to start with is we're going to go over some simple statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay? We're going to go over some numbers of what you can expect that you're walking into. We're then going to go over the 5 biggest reasons businesses go out of business. Then we're going to go over solutions to those reasons so that you are not joining those companies that are going out of business. So let's first start with here. And I've got some tables and charts, and we're going to be putting them up and showing them here. Let's go over with some simple statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay? Statistically, within the first 2 years of opening a business, 20% of the businesses fail in the United States. I want to say it's like 18.3% to be exact, but I'm saying 20%, okay? Now a lot of these businesses, you also have to remember this, a lot of them don't report, they don't liquidate, they don't cancel things that are measurable. So the truth of the matter is that there's a lot more businesses that go under that no one ever hears about. So realistically, this is actually a bigger number than it is. But within the first 2 years of opening a business, 20% of the businesses go under. By year 5, almost 50% of new businesses go out of business. And by year 10, 65% of businesses fail within the first 10 years. I don't have it here, but we have it on the chart. I want to say within the first 20 years, I think it's almost 90% of businesses that are created in the United States do not survive 20 years of business. So think about this. If you're considering opening a business right now, understand the numbers are against you. I'm not telling you that to stop you from doing it. You're going to ultimately see one of the biggest reasons businesses fail are egos, okay? So you got to check your ego at the door, eat some humble pie. We're going to get into that stuff. But at the end of the day, these are statistics you have to understand. 20% of businesses go under in the first 2 years, 50% go under in the first 5 years, and 65% go under in the first 10 years. I want to say almost 90% are out within 20, okay? So that's what you're walking into. Let's now go over the top 5 reasons why businesses go under. Why do they fail? Okay. Number one reason, no business plan or a bad business plan. And by the way, when you're watching this, write this stuff down. I mean, write it like here, look, I got my pen and paper. I'm cheating. I got my notes here, right? Okay. Write this stuff down. The number one reason businesses fail is they have no business plan, or they have a plan, but it's a bad plan, okay? That's the number one reason. We're going to address that, okay? The number 2 reason, cash flow problems. That's the number 2 reason. Number 3, poor time management. Number 4, hiring the wrong people or hiring the right people and putting them in the wrong place, okay? Number 5, egos and entitlement, okay? These are the 5 biggest reasons businesses go under. Write these down again. No business plan, cash flow issues, poor time management, hiring the wrong people or hiring the right people and putting them in the wrong place, and egos and entitlement. Those are the 5 biggest reasons why businesses go under. Now, how do we solve those issues? Okay, what do we do so that we don't become one of the statistics? How do we become one of the businesses that survives? Okay, let's start with this one. No business plan or a poor business plan. So if you're watching me right now and you're considering opening a business, or you're currently running a business and you want to run it better, you've got to have a business plan, okay? You've got to put this stuff in writing. Everything needs to be in writing. The more you put into writing, the more visual it becomes, the higher success rate. There are studies. There was a study at Harvard University in 1979 over writing down your goals and not writing down your goals. And the students that were studied, it was a survey of a certain number of students in a graduating class in 1979 that they revisited in 1989, 10 years later. And they found that the students who had written down specific goals were making, I think, 3 to 4 times the amount of money that those students who never had a goal and never wrote them down. So you got to write this stuff down. So when it comes to a business plan, you've got to write up a business plan. Now, here's the key. You have to be realistic when you write up a plan. You have to be realistic in regards to the income that you're going to make. You have to be realistic in regards to your expenses. So write this stuff down. So underneath business plan, number one reason businesses fail, they don't have a business plan. Well, what goes into our plan? Part of business planning is planning what's going to be our income, how much income are we generating on a monthly, weekly, daily basis? What are our expenses on a monthly, weekly, daily basis? Now, in different industries, I'm in the mortgage lending industry, okay? Maybe even the real estate industry. Maybe you deliver packages or something like that. So different businesses are going to have different expenses. One of my best friends owns Pete & Pete Container. He has expenses of his semi-trucks. There's his semi-trucks for him to generate $1, they got to be driving on the road today. That's fuel, insurance, the trucking, the deterioration, the wear and tear on the trucks, the driver. There's a lot there. For me personally, I'm a salesman. I just got to be on the phone. So my somewhat operating expense in the most immediate moment is less than his is. But we've got to figure out what that is. So if you're considering opening a business, step one of understanding why businesses fail and what goes into it is when it comes to business planning or no business planning, we have to have realistic regards to income, or not being realistic in regards to income and expenses, not budgeting for unexpected expenses, not tracking numbers on a regular basis. Let's go to cash flow problems. The second biggest reason why businesses fail, cash flow problems, okay? When it comes to cash flow problems, this is not properly predicting, estimating, or projecting what the income and what the expenses will be to a point where your expenses actually outrun your income. That'll sink you, okay? I've had it happen, okay? Expenses come in a few forms. Personal expenses. This is breaking all this stuff down. Poor time management. Let's go through poor time management. When it comes to time management, this is the third biggest reason businesses fail. When it comes to time management, not knowing basic time blocking skills, not paying attention to when you're getting up, when you're going to sleep. When it comes to hiring the wrong people, kind of some subcategories under that one. It's the interview process. What questions are you asking the people? Are you interviewing them or are they interviewing you? Are you desperate to hire? These are all things you have to look into. When it comes to egos and entitlement, now these are all the reasons why businesses fail. The next segment we're going to go through is how not to run into these problems, okay? Egos and entitlement. Many business owners have egos and feel entitled because they're the owner. A lot of people love that title. I've had a lot of people over the years tell me, Hesh, I need a title, okay? If you are defined by your title, you're headed down the wrong path of business. We're gonna cover that one again, okay? So a lot of owners feel they're above certain tasks. This is the stuff we go through. Let's now go over solutions, okay? So we started with some statistics. Let's throw that up there again. Within the first 2 years, 20% of businesses fail in the United States. Within the first 5 years, 50% of businesses fail. Within the first 10 years, 65% of businesses fail. Within the first 20 years, I want to say it's almost 90% fail. That's what you're walking into. Let's look at the 5 biggest reasons why businesses fail. Number 1 is no business plan or a bad business plan. Number 2, cash flow problems. Number 3, poor time management. Number 4, hiring the wrong people or hiring the right people and putting them in the wrong place. Reason number 5 businesses fail, ego and entitlement issues. Those are the reasons they fail. Now, let's come up with solutions. We close this out with solutions to those problems. Let's start with a solution to no business planning or poor business planning. Solution number 1, write down a business plan. What goes into the plan? So write this down when you're watching me. What goes into the plan? Write down your projected income. Write down your projected expenses. Now keep in mind, I have another video over how to write up a business plan. When it comes to writing up a business plan, you want to watch that video because it's going to connect right into here. But for business planning, you got to write down your income. You got to write down your expenses. You've got to write down what your budget is for your expenses, for your income, to generate that income. What do you have to do? What do you have to pay for? What type of expenses? You have to track your numbers on a regular basis. We're going to put this up on the screen, okay? If you cannot measure it, or if you do not measure it, you cannot manage it. You must memorize that statement. That is a key statement to what I'm telling you right now about this whole video. If you do not measure it, you cannot manage it. You've got to track your numbers. A major failure in a lot of businesses, a major failure is not properly managing, measuring, looking at numbers. I mean, this is critical information. You have to track and track and track. And I will tell you this, tracking sucks, okay? Nobody likes tracking. And at the end of 2 days, you're so spent mentally and emotionally. A lot of people will say, I didn't track the last 2 days. I've got news for you, man. If you don't measure it, you cannot manage it. How do you know your numbers are bad if you're not tracking it, if you don't have it written down? You can't manage it, okay? You've got to memorize that saying it is critical. Buy a calendar, go to Office Max, go to Staples, put it on your phone. Track your daily actions. This is all part of business planning, okay? Let's go into cash flow problems. Number 2 reason businesses go under, cash flow problems. What inevitably happens, this always happens to businesses, expenses overwhelm the income. Your expenses overwhelm the income. Now, expenses come in a few different forms. When you're starting a business by yourself, when I started my first business, I was working out of my house. Do you want to know what part of my expenses were? Now, these weren't truly business expenses, but when I was trying to calculate how much money did I need on a monthly basis to make sure the business was open, I had to count my mortgage payment, the groceries, cable, electric, gas, phone bills, car payment. Now, was my mortgage payment part of my business expense? We can get into write-offs and meeting with your accountant and all that garbage, okay? No, it's your house. You live in it. But when you start a business by yourself and you're working out of your house, you need to generate enough income to make your house payment. You need to generate enough income to buy your groceries. This all goes into the initial layout of expenses. And if you do not predict and project what these are and write them down, you're going to join that 20% of businesses in the first 2 years. I'm just telling you this right now. If you do not follow these steps, you are joining all of the people that go out of business. It's just happening. These are part of cash flow problems, okay? Let's go into poor time management. When it comes to time management, I get a lot of people, Hash, I'm terrible with time. Get good with time, okay? There is no time for excuses. If you tell me you're not good at something, get good at it, okay? Poor time management. Let's look at this. Not knowing basic time blocking skills. In other words, I have to clear out my email from 7 to 8 a.m. I have to make phone calls. The best time to contact customers is 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in that 2-hour window. A bad time to be calling people is 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's a bad time. It's time blocking. Now, you cannot time block out your whole day. You cannot time block out your whole day. But I will tell you, time management is critical to knowing business. Not paying attention to when you wake up and when you go to bed. Okay? You cannot, if you're starting a business and you want to be successful with a successful business, you cannot be you can't just wake up when you want. I just wake up at random times. You have to wake up on a consistent basis at the same time. You cannot allow the day to control you. You must control the day. There's something that I've done a video on this one here about having a proactive mind versus having a reactive mind, okay? You cannot be reactive. You can't be so frazzled that you have no idea what's going on and you're just dealing with stuff as it comes. If you start falling into that trap, look out. It's a bad trap to fall into. You will find yourself emotionally tired, worn out, spent, you're done. Can't do that. You've got to take control of your time. A lot of ways we do this is prepare the night before for the next day. Know what your schedule is the next day. Now, the truth of the matter is, there's a great graph, and we'll probably throw this graph up here if we have a chance to put it up there. Life is not, there's a guy on a bicycle here and there's a goal over here, and everybody would like it to just be a straight line. Life doesn't work like that, okay? What happens is the guy's over here and the goal is over here, and it just goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And it's one massive chaos of just a mess. That's how your day is. So you typically walk into a day thinking, I've got this beautiful schedule laid out, and 10 minutes before you even begin, it gets blown straight to hell. Okay. That's reality. You've got to be able to pivot and move when that happens, but that does not mean that you do not have an organized plan going into a day, okay? So when it comes to time management, you have to take control of the day. To-do lists. To-do lists are good, but keep this in mind. This goes to time management. To-do lists on top of to-do lists on top of to-do lists, it's too much. You can't have 55 lists. You cannot plan for every eventuality that will happen when you're opening a business, okay? You can't do it. You want to try to an extent, but you have to be ready and understanding and knowledgeable. That's not going to happen. Let's go into hiring the wrong people or hiring the right people, but putting them in the wrong seat, okay? What questions are you asking people in the interview process? What questions are they asking? I'll give you a quick example. When I'm interviewing loan officers, I do mortgage loans, okay? When I'm interviewing loan officers, if the first question they ask me is, Hesh, what's the lowest credit score we lend on? We're done. We're done. If your number one focus is what's the lowest we go, or if your number one focus is, I've been asked this question, by the way, in interviews. I've had people say to me, Hesh, how often do you give pay raises? Well, I pay people what I pay because that's what they're commanding. That's what I'm paying for it. I can show you people who've come in who've said, Hesh, I don't care. I'm just coming into work. That's all I want to do. The right people will say the right things. The wrong people will say the wrong things. Pay attention to your interview process. Believe it or not, you could hire the right person, but if you put the right person in the wrong place, do you want to know something? It's not going to look like it's working. You always want to make sure that you're placing people in the best position possible to achieve success. One of the biggest reasons, or the fourth biggest on my list, that businesses fail is either hiring the wrong people or hiring the right people and putting them in the wrong place. Make sure you pay attention to who you are hiring. Let's finish this out with the last one, egos and entitlement. We're going to finish this out with egos and entitlement. The fifth biggest reason businesses go under are egos of the business owners and the entitlement of those business owners. What's the solution? When you're opening a business, you have to have a servant mentality, okay? There's a picture, we'll put this thing up if we can, of a pyramid. A lot of people believe that businesses work in a hierarchy, and of course they do. When you're the owner of the company, you're somewhat, as people would believe, at the top of the pyramid. I would argue that. Take the pyramid, flip it upside down. The truth of the matter is the owner of the company is at the bottom. The owner serves everyone, okay? I had somebody sit in my office one time, they did this. They said, Hesh, I'm the visionary. I've got to be out there. You know what the truth was? They just didn't want to work. They wanted to dump all of their work on their staff and then go on vacation and golf and do all of this other stuff. But at the end of the day, they didn't want to put in the work. Do you want to know something? When you're the owner, you've got to be in the weeds you got to be in the trenches. Leaders lead, okay? There's another picture I've seen 1,000 times over where it says a boss and a leader. The boss is sitting at his desk and people are pulling that desk. The leader is at the front pulling everybody with him. You've got to adjust your mindset. I'm the president, I'm the CEO, I'm the CFO. I'll tell you what, everybody, I've run businesses since 1997. At the time of this video, I'm 25 years in running a business. I've cleaned toilets. I've shoveled garbage. I'll shovel garbage. I was vacuuming up water in the building the other day. It doesn't matter, okay? Owners, leaders lead. Leaders lead is what they do. Egos and entitlement, you're entitled to nothing. What you're entitled to is going out of business, okay? So when it comes to opening a business, these are the things that you have to look at. So let's take this all the way back and close this one out, okay? Statistically, if you're looking to open a business, understand what you're facing. Within the first 2 years of business, 20% of businesses go under. Within the first 5 years, 50% go under. Within the first 10, 65% go under. Within the first 20, 90% are gone, okay? Let's look at the top 5 reasons businesses go under. Number 1, it's no business plan or poor business planning. Number 2, cash flow problems. Number 3, poor time management. Number 4, hiring the wrong people or hiring the right people, putting them in the wrong seat. Number 5, problems with egos and entitlement. How do we solve all of those? Number 1, come up with a business plan. Number 2, pay attention to your income and expenses. Be realistic about them too. Don't be living in fantasy world of telling me how much you're going to generate or produce inside of the first week of business, okay? Number 3, poor time management. How do we resolve that? Time block. Write things down. Come up with the to-do list. Prepare for the day before. Hiring the wrong people. Make sure the interview process, you're asking the key questions. You're paying attention to what questions are they asking you. What expectations are they setting up? When it comes to egos and entitlement, as the business owner, you are on the bottom of the pyramid. You are not on the top of it. The easiest way for me to say this is having a servant mentality, servant leadership. As the owner, on your business card, I don't know if you want to put president and CEO and all that garbage. Make yourself one of the people because you're leading the people. Leaders lead. That's what they do. This was on how to open up a business. If you're watching this, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Get ready for fire. And that's today's video.